Cross training has become very popular in the mixed martial art world. It's kind of different than what real cross training started as. True cross training was actually just like if you were a swimmer and you ran to aid your swimming, or if you were a football player and you sprinted on the track to aid your. So it was actually the crossing of a type of training. Cross training for mixed martial arts has become weird because you're mixing teams. The St. Louis Rams or the St. Louis Cardinals do not cross train with the Chicago Bulls, or not the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Bears. So this is really weird because it can cause a lot of conflict, and it has. I happen to have always been a person who I'm not very fond of cross training. I've lost a lot of students because of it, but I definitely agree with cross training when it's done properly. And it has to be done properly, or it can do two things. It can ruin the fighter, for one, and for two, it can ruin your relationship with your trainer. I can remember, a long time ago, I'm talking probably 10 years ago, one of my fighters, I had given orders. I said, don't ever train anywhere without talking to me first. Because understand that when you go to a trainer, that's like taking your race car to a mechanic and saying, hey, I want you to fix my car and make it fast and make it do this and make it do that. Well, he gets under that hood, he's working on that vehicle. And while he's working on that vehicle, he's learning things about that vehicle. Like, you didn't even know you had rust in the rear end. So he's got to replace that rust before he can put the rear end in. But before they throw the turbo boost, he's planning on putting this kind of turbo boost with a supercharger. And he wants this over here, and it's going to be a V6, so it's not as much weight as the V8. But then you take that car to another mechanic who may be just as great a mechanic as the one you had, and he says, oh no, we're going to use a V12 engine, and then a turbo boost is not good because it makes too much whining noise, and then if we put this kind of rear end, I want these kind of tires on, which is this. So there's different thoughts. So he's going to go in and change everything in your vehicle, and then you're going to bring it back to the original mechanic. He's going to say, dude, what did you do? Well, this mechanic said I need this. He said that I need that and that. And he's gonna say, well, I don't care what he said. Now, you've messed things up with your trainer. So I always knew this. I always understood how this could work. So cross training was I was very sensitive to it. And I told a student one time, I said, my students don't do that. But one of my students went off, and he's a good student, great student now. And he cross trained with some people. He ran into some people who claimed they trained with me before. I used to train with Jermaine Audrey. That's my boy, my friend, this and that. Turned out they did train women. They used to get beat up at training all the time, so they were haters, okay? So what they did was they told my student, they said, well, let's do some stuff together. Well, this student was strong. He ain't no joke, pro fighter now, and they said, well, let's go soft, let's go easy, let's not go hard. And they grappled with him, and they went as hard as they could on him and actually fractured his rib with a technique that he wasn't familiar with because he wasn't a grappler. So he got injured. Now, that's one of the things you have to worry about when you cross train is you have to assure and have enough respect with your initial trainer to allow him to either, one, have a relationship with who you're cross training with, develop a relationship with who you're cross training with, and first of all, at least have the respect to assure that your trainer doesn't have bad blood with who you want to go train with. So that's where cross training begins. And your trainer, your initial trainer, knows as he's training you and getting to know you. It takes time to get to know you as a fighter. It takes time to build you. Everything that happens in your life has to do with how you're going to grow. And as your trainer's trying to put this martial art into you and make your body do these incredible things that you came to him for him to help you make your body do, he has to adjust things and change things and try things while he's trying to learn you. And when you take your body somewhere else and let somebody else mess with it, it throws him off. So if you have to allow them to have a relationship. The people that my students cross-train with, when I allow them to cross-train, the ones who respect the values, I have a good relationship with the school, with the head instructor. I know who the students are. One of the things that can even happen, let's say I've got a great relationship with one of the schools, and I know the head instructor, and he's a fighter or whatever he is, he's a friend, he's the sensei, whatever he is, and I send my student to go over there. Well, the sensei happens not to be there that day, and he's got some students who don't like them over there because it's not their home. He don't like my students, so a fight breaks out. Unfairness starts to develop. All this can happen. Let's say one of my guys go to another school and he doesn't like somebody over there, and he starts acting out. Well, now the owner of that school, or the head instructor, feels like, well, Jermaine's guys are coming over bullying my guys, because he doesn't even have a relationship with me to call me on the phone and say, hey, Jermaine, can you check up on Mike today? And I'm just saying Mike as a name. Can you check up on Mike? He seemed a little off, man. He was going hard, and every time I asked him to slow down, he wouldn't slow down. I said, yeah, no, I apologize, no problem. I got you back on that. Mike, come here, let me talk to you, man. Look, when you're over there, you can't be over there going crazy, man. You got to have respect when you go over there. You understand? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Andre. My girlfriend this, and man, it's no problem. We work through that. But you got to remember, you're representing us. You can't do it. So cross-training can become dangerous like that, just relationship-wise. So if you're going to cross-train, respect the relationship of your initial trainer and whoever you're going to train with, and allow your trainer to form a relationship of respect, trust, so you don't get hurt, somebody else doesn't get hurt, bad blood doesn't start because of what's occurring there. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Like I said, the other thing is, when you cross-train, you start to become where you're cross-training at, and that's the whole idea. So, but you have to remember this. It's just like me. I give you the best way I can explain it to me. When I fought, Muay Thai was my core art. Now, I was trained in Russian Sambo. I wrestled in high school. I was a great wrestler. I had natural reflexes. Street fought my whole life. So, fighting was just in my blood. But Muay Thai was my objective, to knock my opponent out. Either I'm knocking him out or he knocking me out. Everything else was just there just in case. So even when I trained in my Russian Sambo, even when I trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even when I trained in Judo, all these other arts, which you've seen me, if you watch my fights, you've seen me use and submit people, throw people. Great fighters, not just, some local person. I'm talking great world fighters, and use, grappling and takedowns and throws and things like that in live action combat. It was still only used as a last resort. So I never stopped being who I was. No matter how much training I got in Russian Sambo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and all these other grappling arts, I was still a striker. My mentality was, I'm going to knock you out, or you're going to knock me out. So when I went and I cross-trained with Slava, and I cross-trained with Mike Griffin, I didn't stop becoming who I was. My striking did not start to lower as my grappling went up. So this is what happens when people cross-train now. They'll go to a grappler. Let's say you want to be a grappler, and you go to a grappling school, start learning grappling, but then before your trainer even starts to really get you to move correctly and understand how to get to position and sink that arm bar and get it locked and get his body under control, then go for it. And to strengthen your muscles that are used for that submission, and to make sure that your composure is right, and make sure you've got the proper wind and lungs to even be able to make it to that. Before he even learns all that, you run to the local boxing school or kickboxing school, and then they start telling you, oh, you need to do this, you need to stand this way, and they change everything he's been teaching you. And now here was your grappling, here was your striking, now you're doing this. Now you're lost because you don't even know who you are anymore. So your striking went up, but your grappling came down. Just like with me, if I would have said, well, I'm going to focus more on this and it got too much, then here's my striking, here's my grappling, then this would have happened. Okay, and then now this happens, and now everything that I'm just starting to learn in grappling, I'm going against guys who've been doing it for 10 years. So that's not making any sense. So now I'm back at the beginning, and I'm wondering why I'm starting to lose, or things aren't going good for me. So cross training can be dangerous if you don't jump into it with the right frame of mind and the right heart. First of all, respect your initial trainer. Respect your school that you're initially from. Allow your trainer to build a relationship. Respect that if there's no relationship there isn't. That's not saying anything bad. My guys don't go to certain schools, not because I hate the school and I hate the instructor. Some of these instructors my students don't go to, me and those instructors are close friends. We're good associates, but our arts just don't match. It's just not going that way, or that's just something that we don't do. So if you want to cross train, you have to look at yourself like a car going to a mechanic, and that mechanic is under the hood, and he's trying to work on the engine, the exhaust. He's working on the what do you call it, the rear traction, what type of tires he's going to put on, you know, pulling weight out of the car. He's getting the welding torch out and cutting rust out, and you're yanking that car from under him and taking it to another mechanic this guy over here builds Lamborghinis, this guy builds Porsches. And now they're trying to put all these parts together, and then you become a jumbled mess, and now you're blaming your trainers, you know, while then going somewhere else. So cross-training can be very effective, can be very good if you do it correctly. Another thing you have to keep in mind in cross-training, one of the reasons I'm really strict, is disease. Staph infection, ringworm, all this stuff travels. At my school, we're strict about hygiene. I have a protocol. I have a relationship with my students and my fighters where I can say, you stink today, you need to come off the floor. Hey, your gloves are done, you don't smell good. Hey, what is that thing on your neck? Everybody do a skin check, make sure you don't have this, you don't have that. So that relationship with my students, we understand this. So when somebody from the outside comes, you know, just comes in and they don't have that respect, they can bring a disease and introduce it, and boom, and your whole school can get it. So having a relationship where people respect the people who are even coming to you, and the same with you, when my guys are going somewhere else, they have to have that respect for where they're going, that, hey, first of all, when they leave and they go on, I say, look, this is the boss over there, you do what they tell you to do. But I gotta make sure that the person who's telling them what to do is telling them the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And they're not just trying to bully them around, tell them around, they some fraud who don't even know anything. So all this, you keep this in mind, and your cross-training can come off really, really well. You can get some great, you know, workouts with other fighters. You get great information from other trainers. You know, that's where MMA comes from. You know, as a Muay Thai student, my grappling and my jiu-jitsu and my Russian Sambo came from different instructors other than my Muay Thai, you know, with Ron Smith. So there's nothing wrong with this, but my instructors they respected Ron and they respected each other, so they could communicate in regards to building this Jermaine Andre vehicle. And then you saw the outcome of what the vehicle became. So hopefully that helps you out with cross-training, with making sure you don't end up wrecking yourself, wrecking your relationship with your initial trainer, creating bad blood between your trainers, you know, and getting the most out of it that you can so that it can help you.